Hi, I'm Chad. In the fall of 2020, I bought this boat, a Columbia 10.7 called Samantas, for $750. We motored her south to her new home at Chipman Point Marina on Lake Champlain. She is now undergoing a complete refit in preparation to begin sailing the world. Today's going to be kind of interesting. It's a rainy day over there on Samantas. I did spend the night over there last night. I brought my old V-berth mattresses over there, did a little cleaning up, and camped out on the hard in the boat. And I discovered that those mattresses are very uncomfortable. I'm going to just use them as patterns, and I'm going to build much thicker, much more comfortable mattresses. That's the only place to sleep in that boat on a regular basis, and it needs to be comfortable. If you remember last week, I had ripped out all the decking on the starboard side of the boat from underneath. I didn't do it from on top. Being over there in the rain yesterday enabled me to see where some of the leaks were coming through the deck. And there's a lot of them. And I also discovered that Gorilla tape, once again, let me down. It certainly isn't waterproof. It claims to be. Everything was clean, everything was dry. I taped up every hole I could see in that deck, and it doesn't seem like it did a thing. Back to electrical tape. If you're going to do any of that kind of stuff, electrical tape is waterproof. I removed all those little squares of 1/2-inch marine plywood. They were still wet. I had a big pile of them on the floor in the boat. I bagged them all up yesterday when I was over there. Brought them back. We're just going to burn them in the campfire out back. But they were still wet even after sitting for a week in there, all opened up. I discovered a leak in the hatch in the V-berth. It's actually the plexiglass itself in the frame. I knew there was a leak there somewhere. I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. The rain helped me sort that one out. Good things learned from spending the night over there last night. New mattresses in the V-berth and discovering some of the leaks. Today, we're going to replace all the core for the soft decking. So this is the coring material. It is 1/2-inch CDX exterior grade fir, the same as marine plywood. It's a waterproof glue, much like the MDO material that I use. This stuff might have some cavities where the individual plies weren't filled, like right here, for example. But other than that, it's essentially the same. Here's some more. There's a hole there. There's a hole there. So you're going to have those holes, but the material itself is waterproof glue and fir. And just below this, these are the pieces of fiberglass from the underside of the deck. I'm going to reuse this stuff. It gives me real good information, like these here. Those are the holes for the jib traveler. Today's project, cut plywood, the CDX fir up here to back this material. Sand those, clean them up, template them onto this material, cut this with a jigsaw, sand these a little bit, clean them up, wipe everything down with acetone, epoxy the underside of the deck, fiberglass panels to the plywood. It's a little different approach, but I'm going to end up with a very rigid piece of material to stick up underneath the existing decks. And it'll already be bonded to the core, and it'll already be bonded to the fiberglass underneath, which if you've ever tried to hang fiberglass upside down, it's not the most fun thing in the world. It can be done, but this seems like a much more convenient way to do it. I have managed to get the entire thing, with the exception of one small piece, on a single piece of CDX fir. So I'm going to have some leftover CDX for the port side of the boat when I get to doing the same thing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stencil these onto this sheet, and then I'm going to cut them undersized by about 1/4 inch all the way around, because I want them to fit real nice and easy. And then I'm going to use a little bit of thickened epoxy around the edges to make up the difference. Let's get laying out here, and then we're going to get into cutting these cores out. I just templated the 4 pieces that were on top of this sheet, and I want to show you what I have here. See those? You just use a ballpoint pen. You can see those lines around the edges. So I'm going to run around these profiles, and I'm going to keep to the inside just a little bit, not a whole lot. And all 4 of them are templated here. This cutout here, this goes around one of the safety rail posts on the deck. And this here, I'm going to square that up. And that's where the water comes through the deck. So I'm going to draw a square line around that, and that'll be replaced, and that'll all be glass. Just want to make sure that we don't have any issues with the wood being introduced to moisture. You see this cut out here, see these holes? That's where the Gypsy Traveler goes in. That chunk is going to get removed and infilled with glass. So that'll prevent any issues. And then also the same thing on this longer piece here, Gypsy Traveler. And it ends down here. So the last piece that I have to lay out is this piece over here. And you can see it also has screw holes going down through it for the Gypsy Traveler right there. So that's it. That's going to come out of this piece of plywood right here. But I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to cut all these out first and then make the last piece. And then we'll move on to the next step.
Time we were standing on the rooftop, you shone as bright as the city before us. Now tell me you feel it, tell me you know it, tell me you're cold and tell me I'm water, and you just keep drowning. Days of thunder I hear, they come when you're near. Why must all that I touch always fall into dust? We are fluid like the ocean waters, but you only crave for solid ground. Something on your mind is the comfort I can offer. Just this once for the city before us. So tell me you feel it, tell me you know it, tell me I'm loved and tell me I matter. I'll keep you from drowning. Days of thunder I hear, they come when you're near. Why must all that I touch always fall into dust? We are fluid like the ocean waters, but you
So I want to give you a little quick shot of the scrap and how I get my 1/4 inch undersize. If you look at this here, this is the scrap piece. And the good piece that I saved was over here. This line you see is the edge of my scribe, my original template line. So I left about 1/16 of an inch of wood on the inside of the line, all the way around. And that 1/16 of an inch, plus the thickness of the blade, which would be over here, works out to be about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm roughly 1/8 of an inch undersize all the way around. So 1/8 and 1/8 of course is 1/4. And that makes my whole core overall about 1/4 of an inch undersize.
I press the button and it bursts into life. This time nothing will escape my sight. I see the stars and the planets soon follow. Expect to have the universe by tomorrow. Just sit back and relax, don't worry. The world can wait. No need to hurry.
So I wanted to show you one other thing that came up here. This particular piece, this is the 5th final piece that I'm templating. See, there's the edge. And there's the other edge. As you can see, this is going to end up being two pieces, but I need to maintain that gap in the middle where this is, because that needs to be filled with glass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that ever so slightly attached in a couple of places to maintain the square and the shape. And then I'm going to take a couple of pieces of that scrap and a handful of screws, and I'm going to screw across this gap. I'll probably put 2 screws here, maybe 3, do a triangle, and 2 or 3 here. And I'm going to do that in a couple of places. And that should help prevent those from racking, skewing, or corrupting the space in the middle, because that strip has to come out of there. And I'm going to leave those screws in place when I glass this panel back together. So what that should end up doing is it should ensure that everything lines up right when I glass these cores onto the bottom pieces of the deck. This is the last one to cut out. I'm going to take care of this piece. Here are all of the cores stacked up, pre-cut, 1/4 inch undersized. I need them to lay dead flat on the ground here. That's the main reason why I'm doing this here in the shop on the concrete floor, rather than doing it over on the job on a pair of sawhorses next to the boat. I'm going to use this flat, solid surface to lay these on, and then I'm going to lay all kinds of weight on top of them to keep them squeezed down tight and well bonded while they cure. I want to thank those that have subscribed to my channel, or like, share, and comment on my videos. If you're new to my channel, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It helps me to gain traction here on YouTube.